Hi there, Dr.
Yes.
Sheep here. Welcome back to their TGIF Talks, episode 106, here on the new channel. Welcome, everybody. I'm joined by my co-host, Anonymous Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, such enthusiasm. Let's, screens? Screen one, I guess? Go live. These podcasts are not broken down into parts. It's just is what it is. We just do whatever we want. So yeah,
Yep.
I'm looking over here constantly to the folks at home. It's because I'm still having troubles with Streamlabs. It just refuses to do anything I want it to do. Period. It's like a
Sounds
teenager.
about right.
Huh?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. It's a teenager, and it just crashes. It just does whatever it wants. I have no idea how long it will continue to record. It could just stop tomorrow. It could stop like that, and then that'd be it. This is the reason why I stopped doing the gaming channel, because I just can't. It just doesn't. I can't get it to work. I don't know.
Unreliable.
And it's weird, right? Because it just happened overnight. It's like I had
Really?
no issues with it. Everything was going great, and then it just flipped a switch. Like one day, it just crashed. It just crashed, and I'm like, okay. And I got it to work. It didn't have any issues for like another week, and then it just stopped working altogether. It just crashed, crashed. And it seems to work fine with this until today, where I had to uninstall and reinstall it. I've had to do that like 5 times now. I should not have to uninstall and reinstall a software that many times. I really should not. I don't want to switch to regular OBS because that's way more complicated to figure out. But if this doesn't work, I'm gonna have to, because I don't want to pay for another recording software
Use,
that's limited.
what's it called? Bandicam.
No, I don't want the watermark.
Oh, that's what good old PewDiePie uses. All reliable.
Just use OBS like everyone else. This regular OBS, not Streamlabs. But like I thought Streamlabs was like, I don't know. I don't understand why it just could go from working to not working. I don't understand. But anyways, oh jeez. So what have you been up to? Anything interesting?
Uh, when was the last time we talked?
2 weeks ago. Little less.
Not much. Yeah,
No.
a little less than normal.
Nothing out of the ordinary. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think you said it best. I've done a little less than normal.
Less than normal. Less than normal is abnormal. Therefore, theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did you get my email?
Huh?
Did you ever get my email?
I did.
I guess you probably even haven't had at any time to
I
read
have
the script.
not. I did not have a chance to open it yet. No.
Yeah. I'm genuinely curious, once we start doing this, how long this is going to be. Because it's 50 some odd slides, which sounds like a lot, and some of the scenes are quite, and there's a lot going. There is, but isn't a lot going on, and some are, they're quick little things. It's like 1 or 2 sentences. This is what happens in the scene. Skip the next thing. There isn't any dialogue. It's just, showing what happens. But like,
Yeah.
and so I and there's some montages or whatever, but it just makes me wonder, like, do you? because I can't compare it to my other scripts, because A, I've changed how I write things, and then B, previous scripts just had like a spot where it's like improv for like a period of time or whatever, right? And so it's hard to say whether there's any correlation, because like a moment with my brother, I think, is shorter than what is a ghost, but the script for a moment with my brother is longer than what is a ghost.
Okay.
But what is a ghost has a lot of improv, and also just I adjust the length of like the credits, of just length this, just things are different between each one, that because they're a year apart, and a lot, and my ideas and how I want things to be done artistically change. So I honestly, the original length of it was like 40. It was like 40, 39, 38, somewhere in there. And I
Minutes?
thought, huh?
Minutes? Or what are you saying?
Slides.
Oh.
Which is like, one slide is like 1.5 scenes. Usually it's about one, but some of them have just like montage cuts to this. And just because there's no reason to have a whole slide that says there's a montage of this new scene. Like, there's no... I mean, I should have, and that probably would have inflated it to be like 57 slides long instead of like the 53 that it is.
It's 53.
Give or take, yeah. 53, 50, somewhere in there. It's long.
Longer than normal.
Huh?
Longer than normal.
Well, I mean, most of the videos, we're shooting for 10, or you're shooting for 10 to 20 minutes. This is just me writing a
Overshooting.
story. Huh?
Oh. Well, I mean, 53 sounds like you're overshooting.
Well, they're slides. They're not pages. And so the font sizes vary between each slide just to try to fit the whole scene on there. It's not pages. And it's not the normal word vomit where it's just like, blah, 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 blah. It's, oh, are you going to do this thing? And then there's the pause, whether like, oh, yes, I'm going to do this thing. And so there's less words, but it could theoretically take longer to say those few words than it normally would in a word vomit, therefore hyperinflating the length of it is. I kind of theorized that I thought it's probably fair to assume that each scene's maybe a minute long. Like, some of the scenes I know for a fact will be a minute long, at least. Like, the montages will be at least the opening montage will not be a minute long, but most of the rest of them will be about a minute long. Maybe. Maybe shorter. But, like, some of the scenes I know for a fact, like, most of surprise, some of the changes I made, I've added these confessional scenes, and you'll read it when you're in there. I don't want to spoil anything for the people that want to watch the short film. But there's these confessional scenes, and I know for a fact, just because it literally, in me reading in my head, it takes me a minute to read through what I wrote. And so, actually
some of them look like they have a lot to it.
What?
Some of the slides look like they have a lot to it.
Yeah, some of the scenes there is a lot to the scene. I try, so I kind of, writing a short film is so interesting, because if I had if we were doing this with like professional actors or whatever, I would write it completely differently. Or if I was doing this with, say, more people or more resources, the way I would write it is completely different. But since I have 4 of us, and most of us just don't have time to spend an entire weekends working on this, it's like I have to adapt that. And that is the next step, is identifying every single scene that everybody needs to be present in.
Yeah.
And then splitting it up. Here's all the scenes where I don't need anybody. It's just me talking to myself, pretty much. all the confessional scenes are literally me talking to myself. I don't need.
Where is this being? Where is this at?
They're littered. The confessional scenes are littered throughout. They're all over. There's tons of. There's like at least 6. They're really interesting scenes because you're supposed to show not tell. But
Yeah.
I really. But the thing was, I didn't know how to show the story. I didn't know how to show this aspect of the story because a lot of this is internal conflicts with. Huh?
Props. I don't know.
Pretty much, they would be thoughts within a character and how they would decide they'd make these decisions. And so, what's a way to show a thought? You can't do it. You can do dreams, but
I said props.
Props?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said thoughts. Well, no, these scenes are actually like they would be technically an internal dialogue. You could have them as an internal dialogue, but because Carl Housing, who's the character, I added because this script was done. I considered it done, and then I read through it and I'm like, I want to do this, and I thought, we don't really know we get some insights into Housing in the original script, and then we get a few insights we get a lot more insights into the character from the What Is a Ghost thing. That's where he actually made his debut. This is the prequel. Because, spoilers, he dies at the end of What Is a Ghost. So, the character ends. So, doing the classic Marvel thing, there's no risk to any of these characters because all of them exist in later properties, except for 2 of them. 3, I guess, technically. But anyways, I was like, I want to write more about Housing. He's an interesting character, and I feel like there's more story to tell because we kind of just, in the original script, he just does this thing, and we're like, why does he do this? He mentions that it's because of funding, but like, why? What? You're not. Where'd you even get the money if you don't have the money to fund this lab they build? Where are you? I'm trying to be as vague as possible so the viewers can watch it unabide. Like, where does he get this money? Like, how is he able to do this if funding's thing? He's clearly a shady guy. Why is he shady? How did he get there? And I'm like, I want to tell that story. And it's it does the first scene is it sets up who the actual real main character is, but because of how much content I added about Housing, you're really questioning is this about Housing or is this about Brad Everett again? Because the beginning, it's your character Dave and myself talking about setting up kind of where this is going to go from here, and then we have a cut. Then we have a cut to a title that says months earlier, and this tells the story of Housing, and this goes over the past several months of how he came to where he is. And those months could be years. Those months could be literally just a few months. I said months earlier. I wanted to be as... I didn't want to lock anything down. Because once you lock things down, it makes it difficult to tell stories. And to add to the story or later on. Let's say I want to tell more about some adventure Housing went on. I can't do that if the time constraint is he did this in 2 weeks. Like, what? How did he do this in 2 weeks? Then it's like, you just tell this ridiculous story that just doesn't make sense. But back to writing this with the constraints. I realized when I did the What Is a Ghost, Will is a terrible actor, and B, I can't have you guys try and memorize massive amounts of lines,
Did you tell him that?
If you watch What Is a Ghost...
Does he have any idea how competent he is?
If you watch What Is a Ghost... and then we told him, I'm like, we need you to do this. And he goes like, hello, I am the film man for today's expedition. Like, bro, not robotic. But he's a.
No, I am Mr. Robot.
I am Will 1000.
Yes. No. Hello, I am Will quadruple zero oh one.
How may I assist you? He just reads it like he just reads the script. He doesn't.
No, he should write his character in like that.
There's a film idea.
Because the thing is, if you make it sound uh, intentional, he can make it sound unintentional.
Oh man. That was the so when I wrote Will's character, it originally he only had 2 scenes. Now he has like 4, and
Oh.
and they're kind of talkative, intensive scenes. So it's like
I don't know if that's a good thing.
that's why I had to write them in a way that we would be able to get away with some things, because a lot of the scenes, because like there were, because you and I have a housing, and your character Dave, there's a lot of discussion, and I'm like, I can't ask you to memorize all these lines, and I don't want to memorize all these lines.
Please don't.
It's easier to memorize kind of one line at a time. And so, and they do this in Hollywood too, I've realized. When they do a cut back and forth between one character talking and another character talking, that's because they don't want them to memorize all these lines. And a lot of times they're looking at a teleprompter.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's how we get around this. Because we can do as many takes of one line as we can really want. But if it's if it's an extensive back and forth conversation, doing 5 takes could take hours. That would take forever. It's easy to get one line down very quickly and very easily. Boom, we can get 1 or 2 takes. That's it. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
But, where it's just word vomit on a page, that takes a lot of takes. And obviously, I'll try and use, paper or whatever, cues, but sometimes there's just too much word to fit on one page, so.
Yeah.
There is one scene where it is just me, but I do need somebody to move the camera. And I tried to avoid a scene like that, but it just worked really well story-wise, and so I was like, so there is one scene where I will need help. But I tried to write a lot of scenes actually to where it was basically just me. It's 2 characters, because I'm Housing and Carl. To the main character, Housing and Brad. And so it's like, Carl is the same person as Housing. The same character. And the priest. I'm also the priest. I'm paying 3 characters, Jesus. You've got you're Dave and the drug dealer. That's a scene. It's going to be interesting. But the drug dealer's in there. I guess he's in there for 3 scenes, but they're not as the introduction to your character is going to be a bit of a trickier scene to do, but the other ones are pretty simple dialogue. But I don't know. You do have to talk, but we'll see. And so do you remember when I originally wrote it? Do you remember the Walmart scene?
I think so.
Huh?
I think so.
That's the one where we're gonna basically abduct Kyle in a Walmart, or I originally wanted to do it in the Union, because this is back when COVID first started. We were gonna be wearing full hazmat.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Hey.
Huh?
Yeah, go on.
Well, well, it's been 2 years since the pandemic started, almost 3. And my thoughts on that scene, huh?
I think you can still walk around campus with the big old what do you call those?
Hazmat.
No, I was thinking more like air filtration mask or something.
Mm. Where that was actually a question I wanted to ask you. Do you know where your mask is? Because I have mine here, but I don't know where yours
Not
is.
a clue. Not a clue.
I,
I bet it's somewhere at my parents.
yeah, I wonder if it's buried in that mound of stuff in your parents' basement. I hope so, because I don't want to buy another one of those.
Why? You need it? You
No,
wrote
no,
it
we
in?
need it for the film.
Oh, we do?
Yeah,
Hmm.
we need it for the.
Yeah, it's somewhere probably in there. I never took it here.
We need it for two scenes because the Walmart scene used to be one scene, but then I was like, I don't know if I want to walk around a Walmart in a hazmat suit.
You should.
But like, I also
I bet you get some. I bet you get some interesting looks.
yes, but also, do you want to walk around a Walmart in a hazmat?
Oh no, I won't. I'll be holding the camera.
That's why I rewrote the scene because I was like, you need to be there with me. It can't just be me.
What? No.
That's why I rewrote the scene. So now,
Have Will go with you.
well, we technically we were gonna need all hands on deck for this scene because Kyle's in the scene, I'm in the scene, you're in the scene, and then we need somebody filming. But I've rewritten it, and so now it can be done with three people: you, myself, and Kyle. We don't need it to be in a Walmart. Heck, we can green screen a Walmart parking lot.
Respirator. That's the name I was thinking of.
What?
You called it a hazmat. Respirator. That's
Oh, right. Well, I mean, we're gonna be in a
the
but we're gonna be in
that
hazmat suits. We're gonna be in,
that was the name I was thinking of though. Respirator.
yeah, but we'll be in like, you know, kind of Breaking Bad gear. We'll be in that
Wait,
yellow
you're gonna get a full on gown?
full on gown.
Yeah, like their yellow suits they had on.
Yeah, you just buy a paint suit. It looks the same. They're
Oh
cheap.
no, that's what I'm saying. That's what you're gonna wear.
We are gonna wear.
Who's this we? Who
You're
is
in the
this
script.
we?
It's vital that you wear. Like I said, I rewrote it so that we don't actually have to do it in public. We do have to find a park bench though. But you know, if we find it, wait a minute, your mom's got a park bench out front.
Yeah.
So holy crap! If we just
There's also a picnic table.
huh?
There's also a picnic table.
That works too. We can literally just completely rewrite the. I've written it to where we can do this complete at your parents' house with the green screen for part of it to show that it looks like we're in a Walmart parking lot. You never have to wear it in public.
Mm.
That's why I rewrote it because I knew somebody would object because I didn't want to do it anymore either. Yeah. I was like, 2 years ago? Yeah. Not anymore. 2 years ago, we would have looked less insane. 2 years.
Oh, I saw a photo the other day. It was what people wore as masks before masks became a thing, and this one person, I kid you not, I don't know what went through their mind, what rational thought said, hey, this counts as a mask. They had a freaking computer monitor on their head. Like they cut out the insides and had a computer monitor. Like, one of those big old cathode ray.
That would be so heavy.
Yeah. I was like, excuse me? What?
There's no way that's real. No way. That'd be too. What? You'd break your neck.
They were shopping.
Well, anyways, so. Yeah, it's, But I added a whole 10 scenes because it was still 40 scenes before, but I've added over 10 scenes to it, which is about as many as I originally planned. And the ending,
I mean, it's something that'd be really easy to Photoshop, but yeah.
it's probably a Photoshop. But it's we'll see. We'll see how it goes. There's a bunch of props I need to order, but I need to first make sure that we're actually going to do this and that everybody can actually do it, because I'm not going to spend $100. Well, okay, I'm spending $100 on props, but I want to buy that microscope thing, which I can make a whole video and just then I can use it for other things.
You're getting a new microscope?
No, the field flattener thing I showed you. Remember?
Oh yeah.
We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll just send it right back, and it won't even cost me. It'll cost me.
Then you'll need a new sample of blood.
Well, I've got a bunch of those mock samples. The blood never looked good anyway.
That's because it wasn't fresh. He put it on the slide dry.
Right. How are we going to get fresh blood from Will?
Prick him?
I'm not doing that. That's a risk. We're risking disease at this point.
Take a needle.
We're risking him getting disease. We're risking getting ourselves disease. I don't want a disease. I don't want AIDS.
Well, I mean, have you ever popped a zit and had a little bit of blood come out?
Oh, he is pretty zitty, so.
That's what I'm saying. Pop a zit. Squeeze it beyond, the point when it's like, yeah, you should probably stop. No, squeeze it a little bit more. Get some blood to dribble, and then yeah, you're good to go.
Need to cut my chin open again. That I could have gotten a nice big old drop of blood for that.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how they do microscope slides for that kind of stuff. It's kind of amazing but red blood cells are tiny and really hard to see, so it's not surprising that we didn't see anything.
I hope they're some of the biggest. Where's skin cells? What is the biggest cell in the human body?
The biggest cell in the human body is a egg. Well, embryo.
You have eggs?
No, I don't. Women do, though. No, sorry, an embryo. Sorry, once they've mated, but before they split into two.
Fine. Largest cell in the male body.
Well, that would also be the second largest in the female body.
Is the neuron.
Yeah, I guess technically nerve cells, but they're 3 meters long. Does that count?
Yeah. Absolutely.
But no, the head of it though, isn't that big though. That's the thing. So. And if you ever watch the 53rd podcast, the one on radio.
Oh, I guess it's a muscle cell.
Muscle cells are large, but are we gonna rip a muscle cell? But again, these are long cells.
Well, I guess how do you want me to define large cell?
Well, no, if you want to look at a human cell under a microscope, there's a very easy way to do it.
How?
Q-tip and your cheek, and I have the dye. We did in biology class. I looked at one of my own skin cells.
Oh, yeah? And you can see all the organelles?
No.
Oh.
But I did have the best picture of a skin cell in the entire class.
What all was visible?
Huh? The cell. That was it.
Oh, what? Wait, so what kind of... So I'm guessing they had a much more powerful microscope than you could afford. We can afford to get to see organelles and all that.
I think you need a pretty powerful microscope, yes. And one with a lot brighter lights. And you need to be really good at making slides.
Oh, what about a leaf?
I have cuts of leaves. We don't need to do that.
Oh.
So, now you're getting to the realm of, we don't need to do that. I have them.
It came. Oh, it came with slides and leaves.
Yeah, yeah. Got a big old box. It's back here. Full of them. But just a bunch of prepared slides. No, yeah. But the other stuff, it's like we got to use it for it. Otherwise, I really don't have a use for it. Well, the green screen and the green screen stands, I obviously could have uses for those in other films. But the oxygen mask, unless I specifically write into another scene, not really. And then I need a stuffed pangolin. And there's no reason to get a stuffed pangolin other than for this video, so.
Is that how you say it? Pangolin? I thought it was pangolin.
I don't know how you say it, to be honest. But we also need to use Kyle's stuffed bat, and we need a cage. I thought Kyle had a cage, but maybe he doesn't. I'll have to find a cage.
A cage?
Yes, a cage.
I don't think he has a cage.
Well, we'll find a cage. Cages are, it's a cage. You get a pet carrier for all I care. Doesn't really.
We do have a pet carrier.
Yeah, except I'd like to be able to see inside of it better, but we'll see. Anyways, I thought you guys always... No, that's my brother that always uses my dad's pet carrier, and our uncle, our youngest aunt, with our youngest cousin, has... she always used my dad's pet carrier. But anyways, so yeah, that's what I've been working on. It's the short film. I was supposed to, I still need to do this. I need to send in my volunteer form. They sent it to me like Sunday, but I didn't have time, and then I forgot about it yesterday. Huh? For the observatory, I have to fill out some stuff. I was gonna do it today. Like, I went out, I voted. I came back, and I was like, okay, I gotta take out I was supposed to take out the trash before I left to go vote, but then I forgot. And in that madness, I managed to forget to do, because then I made lunch. And so in that madness, I managed to forget to work on the things, so.
Mm-hmm. How was your day off?
Huh?
How was your day off?
Well, other than the terrible night's sleep, I wrote all morning. I went and voted.
How late did you stay up?
Huh?
How late did you stay up?
Well, no, I said I went to bed at like 10. Set an alarm for 2:30. The alarm went off at 2:30. I opened my deck door, stepped outside, looked around, went, well, this is crap, and then went back to bed.
Oh, I thought you said you took a picture.
No. I said I was groggy, and I thought about texting you, but then I just went to bed.
Yeah.
I was also trying to check on the damn lottery. Actually, I stayed up later than I wanted to because I was waiting for the damn lottery.
Yeah, apparently there was some issue in California with security and all that. And
No.
they had to postpone the drawing.
No, the winner was in California. The issue was not in California, though.
No, I know. The issue was not in California.
But the winner, yes.
I think I specified the other.
Yes, but the schmuck won 1.9 billion. I mean, it
was one dude.
One person.
I think it was 2.3 before tax. Yeah.
1.9 billion.
Oh, I thought it was 2.3 because of all the Monday money.
Well, no, I don't know. I saw 1.9. That was before tax.
That's after tax.
It's before tax.
That was Sunday or Saturday.
It never got up to 2. It was going to get up to 2 if nobody won.
The article then how come the article I read said 2.3?
I think they were assuming nobody won yet. I never saw 2.3 anywhere. I've only seen 1.9.
2.04.
That's what I actually, you know what? I do remember seeing that. But that would be before tax. Because tax is like 60%.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
you're gonna get. That's ridiculous. You're gonna end up with less than $2 billion. $1 billion that goes to California. California. Do you real? Let's play a GDP game, shall we? $1 billion to the California taxes that they take in is nothing. Nothing. Literally nothing. Nebraska, we got a higher than average GDP per capita. Actually, we have what would be considered the. If you take the U.S.'s GDP per capita, Nebraska has slightly higher.
Wait, you collect 60% or tax is 60%?
I'm pretty sure the tax is 60%.
Oh.
You get 40%.
And see, I actually read something that the amount that the 2016 winners took home, adjusted for inflation, is more than today's money. Because of inflation, the Powerball, the jackpot winners, it was like 1.5 billion or something. But that money is worth back then more than it is adjusted for inflation today.
Wouldn't surprise me. I was actually wondering,
Crazy.
like, is this the highest? Like, did anybody calculate for inflation?
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy that in the same year we had two record-breaking Powerballs. Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yeah.
This one is the highest ever, not accounted for inflation, but
Yeah.
the highest ever, which is kind of insane, but makes sense. I mean, but the fact that that it was one person won it, a lot of people are saying this is kind of this one was definitely sketchy, especially since California won it again. It's always California, Texas, Florida, or New York. Like, why not a smaller state? And I'm like, well, that's a statistics game, and B, it is kind of sketchy. Like, what? States that.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So, what's kind of crazy? I haven't realized this, but there are only 300 million possibilities for the Powerball. So if you bought one Powerball ticket, 300 million Powerball tickets, you would still walk away with like a net of like $500 million.
So I was thinking about this, right? And I realized the trickiest part about the Powerball is getting the Powerball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's only 300 million possibilities.
Because you can't win money without getting the Powerball. So
I thought... There's smaller prizes, though.
What?
There's smaller prizes.
Right. But the most what increases the statistics, because doesn't matter the order. It doesn't matter the order, right?
You have to have everything in the right order, right?
If it's everything in the right order, it's got to be way more than 300 million odd.
I don't know then.
Huh?
I don't know.
It's got to be way more.
That's just the article I read.
So if the order doesn't matter, then my theory was you buy 69 lotto tickets, because that's what it is. It's 1 to 69 are all the numbers that you can get, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get 69 lotto tickets, making sure that each one of the Powerballs is 1 through 69. And then the other numbers are random.
Mm-hmm.
Your odds of winning something probably go up pretty drastically if order is not a big deal.
Like, do you win if you get the number right, but none of the other numbers?
You actually do win something if you get the Powerball right. It's like enough to... It pays for the ticket. That's it.
Oh, it's like a couple bucks?
It's like $4. It's enough to pay for the ticket.
Oh.
So, but the thing is, right, the odds of winning something. But the thing is, though, you're going to get the Powerball no matter what. Because if you do 1 through 69, and each one's a different lot number, you're going to get the Powerball. That's guaranteed. Now, if order isn't a big deal, you could probably there's probably a good statistical spot of how many tickets you need to get, and then how to structure said tickets to maximize the probability. I'm sure somebody can calculate it. And honestly, I can't imagine it's that many tickets, and you could probably do it every single time, and you could probably win the Powerball almost every single time.
You should try it.
It probably requires like $1 million.
Oh.
It probably requires 500,000 lotto tickets. I don't have $1 million. Had I won the lotto, I would love to do some sort of little statistic game like that, but I did not. Mm-hmm. And I thought about it. I was like, what would I do, right? If I just, I woke up one day and I never have to work another day in my life.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be awful.
What?
It'd ruin you.
See, somebody at work said that, but let me tell you what my first thing would be. So let's say I had won Monday night, right? Monday, like, I passed out I fell asleep, but, like, I didn't mean to fall asleep. It was weird. I woke up, like, an hour later. I checked the lotto. Alright, I didn't win. I went back to bed. Let's say I had won in that moment. And obviously my dad's probably not awake. And so I can't call him. But Tuesday morning, now knowing that I never have to work a day in my life. There's a possibility. If let's say the eclipse never happened. Okay, because when the eclipse, I wanted to actually calculate to find a place that had clear skies that was gonna be able to see the eclipse that I could drive to before the eclipse was over. Mm-hmm. But I was after finding out if I won the lotto. But once the lotto got delayed, I was like going through it in my head, and I'm like, I have like 4 hours to go anywhere, and Mullins cloudy, so unless I go south, but south, reduces the time of the eclipse. I'm like, it's not even worth it. So eclipse aside.
Well, I think you'd want to go east, right? Or does the moon? What does the moon rise?
You want to go west because the west was getting the better shot. Was getting the longer eclipse. If you look at the map, you went northwest, you'd get the longest eclipse. But anyways, let's assume the eclipse just didn't happen, but I still had Tuesday off or whatever. Or let's say I had to work today. But Monday night, I found out I won the lottery. Tuesday morning, I wake up. I'm going to walk on my deck and just take the biggest whiff of fresh air. Just like freedom. Freedom. The smell, the taste of freedom. Then I call my dad. And then I call a lawyer, and then my tax guy, and then my investment guy, and then we call the lotto after my lawyers, made all the decisions. And then we start spending money. And I had somebody at work tell me, like, I told them, I'm like, if I win, I kind of debated, maybe I'll just give them $20 million each. It's $100 million of my billion, and I'm like, oof, that's a lot to give to a bunch of people. Plus, I'm already giving stuff to my dad, my brother, you, Kyle. I'm going to spend $200 million just giving back to people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Jesus. And I was like, I better not see a single one of you schmucks work another day in your life. And she's like, well, because I'm like, I'm going to shut down the entire branch. I give everybody enough to retire. Who's going to work the branch? She's like, well, I'll be here. And I'm like, why? She's like, well, accountability. I need to, do something.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, see, that's where I think you're normal.
You're too young. You're too young to retire with no fallback options. See, people that are this young and retire, they have like businesses and real estate things that they manage. They can retire, but they still have things that they're managing throughout their day.
I still have to
You just
manage
you're just
$800 million.
you're just given FU money, and now you're just like, shit. What do I do?
I still gotta manage $800 million.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
Look,
Managing
here's
managing your
where
expenses is different than managing a business's expenses.
and this is where I separate from the normal person. A normal person, yeah, would have real big issues with that. They'd be given that money and they straight up just wouldn't know what to do. I, on the other hand, know what to do. I got first of things first, I have to go and make sure that all my properties that I'm building stuff on, that stuff gets built. I'll be busy for 2 years just doing that. 2 or 3 years probably doing that. Just managing construction, Okay, there's 3 years of the next, 90 or whatever. And so, okay, there's 3 years busy doing that.
But here's the deal, though. Like, you say manage construction. Like, what does it take? An hour to talk to somebody? What do you do the other 23 hours of the day?
Sleep for part of those.
What?
Sleep for part of
But
those.
you get my point, though. You get my point. You're not managing 24/7 every single day of the year.
Yeah, but like, but like
Yeah,
I said, the
know.
first thing I'm doing is I'm hopping in an RV and I'm gone. I'm gonna be traveling, driving a lot.
Okay. So you're gonna buy an RV and just travel
for the most part of my 20s, yeah. For a good part of my 20s, yeah, I will just be traveling.
Yeah.
And I'll be vlogging. I gotta be careful though, because like once you're that wealthy and you have to tell everybody that you're wealthy because that's the way the lotto works. I learned why they do that, and it makes sense, but also irritates me down to my very core.
Go on.
You know why they do that?
No, I don't.
So they do it.
Because not all states require it.
Huh? No, it's not a state thing. It's the lotto itself. The lotto itself requires it. It's every state.
Oh, I hope there were some states that you could remain anonymous.
Apparently, that's not the way the lotto wants it done. Maybe there are some states that wrote laws where it's like, hey, we don't want them to do that. But the lotto wants it done a specific way. Is to show that, hey, this is a real lottery and people can win. And so that's a big regulation thing to show that this is a legitimate lottery. And then and then 2 is publicity. Anybody can win. It gets people to buy more tickets. I'm like, that's sick. That is so sick. But makes sense. So, anyways, but I would do a lot of traveling. I traveled the U.S. in my 20s, and maybe eventually I'd start to travel the world. And I gotta invest the money at some point. The angler program at UNL, I could certainly go and like give a bunch of money to that, and like they'd probably let me teach, to be honest. Especially if you give enough money, you can do whatever you want.
What? Oh my gosh!
I
don't think I trust you as a lecturer.
Huh?
And I said I don't think I trust you as a lecturer.
I got a guy.
Those poor souls.
I got a guy at work. I talk about how I don't know what I want to do anymore because I'm not. Like, I'm gonna keep trying banking or whatever, but I just don't.
Not for you?
I don't think so. My mentor was right. He's like, you're gonna hate it.
Why? What's that?
We'll get into that, but he always. Oh. But he tells we'll get to that. There's a few layers we have to unwrap, then we'll get to there. But he's like, you should definitely give a lecture. You'd definitely be a professor. Definitely be a professor. He's like, I could definitely see your students going both ways. Either A, they really like you because, again, you're young and you understand the crap they went through. And, you'd be super chill about things. But then also, on the other hand, you would suck because you would just lecture constantly. Or something ridiculous,
That's bad.
Well, you're like me. I liked having lecture. I didn't like doing group work and crap. Because,
Mm-hmm.
lecture's nice. I really never took notes because A, I couldn't read them, and then B, it's economics. I couldn't keep up typing it, so I gave up. I just sit there, and so I'm either writing.
Well, yeah, let's be honest. A lecture on a Friday, best thing ever, right?
I
You can
never
just sit
had
back.
classes on Fridays.
No, but if you did, imagine, put yourself in my shoes, right? If there's no quiz, no test, no nothing, it's like this is gonna be an easy Friday. Sit back, take a few notes, and you're good to go. Especially if there's no homework or anything due, you know.
There was always homework due. But yeah, I get it. But like lecture was nice because I would sit there. I'd either be writing scripts for YouTube or I was writing papers for other classes. I
In the
remember,
middle of class.
huh?
In the middle of class.
Yeah, I remember I was sitting in one lecture. I was writing the paper for that class in the class.
Mm.
It wasn't due that day. It was due like next week or whatever. But since it was my final, that's the only finals are the only time I don't procrastinate.
Yeah.
Except for that one time, but we don't talk about that. Except for that one final essay where I did not. But this was my senior year. It's my last semester. It's my last few weeks of being a college student. So I did not procrastinate. I was like, we got to get this done. And I was always asking professors, like, well, I haven't decided I'm leaving. I'm like, can we release it like this week? And they're like, what? I'm like, I want to get this done. They're like, why? I'm like, I don't plan to study, so just release it this week. Give the people 2 weeks to work on it. Whatever. I just want to get this done now. I'm a senior. This is my last 2 weeks. I want to get this done so I can start my summer.
Mm.
I'm like, give me this now. But I
Oh
remember
yeah, that was a great summer.
it was
That was the
horrible.
summer that was the summer
We had two different summers.
That was the summer we went to Chimney Rock.
Yeah,
Like we went to the Rock.
yeah, that was the highlight of my summer, though. The rest was awful.
What about September? When you got to see a true board of one.
Again, that was the highlight of my September, and that was in the first few days. The rest was awful. And the fact that I also managed to get a new job, but then also realized I didn't like the new job. But anyways,
So was that the worst part of your summer?
probably
That job?
yes.
Did you do anything else that summer?
I worked at Menards and job hunted the entire time.
Uh,
It sucked.
I just worked and enjoyed my summer. I think I applied for my first job in August.
Well, I was being thrown out. Had I been able to be allowed to stay there for as long as I originally planned, which was another year, it would have been a much better summer. I would have had a much less intensive job search. I probably would have never taken a job at the co-op in the first place. But
Yeah, you were just kind of desperate to get a job.
I was being thrown out. I needed money to be able to pay rent.
Move back in with Dad.
I couldn't.
Oh, he didn't want you at home?
Well, no, he was fine, but like, where do I put all my crap?
In the outbuilding? I don't know.
There just wasn't room or space or anything. It wasn't feasible. He was like, it's fine, but like, I was like, where the heck am I going to put all my crap?
Yeah. Yeah, you had enough crap to fill one corner of a basement.
Yeah, more than that. More than that. But anyways, not a... Right, so in the class, I was writing the damn paper. How are we getting on these tangents?
I asked a question.
I know. I finished. I wrote two pages in that class, and the person who sat behind me, she was like, "Wes, what are you working on there?" I'm like, "Oh, that was the paper for this class." She's like, how many pages you write? I'm like, 2. She's like, you wrote 2 pages in an hour during class? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, what the? She's like, I couldn't write those in like 6.
2 pages?
Well, because, because, yes, 2 pages isn't a lot to type out, but like for a research paper, and you're having to look up everything,
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
it takes a minute.
It
But
does.
me, I don't know. I did
You don't give a crap about sources.
Huh?
So you don't give a crap about sources. You're
Well,
like, I'll
I
find the
did. Well,
sources
no, it
later.
wasn't that I didn't give a crap about sources. Is I didn't know the source rule. But even if I did, it still wouldn't have slowed me down that much. If anything, it would have sped me up because I wouldn't have had to use so many room, so much. It would have taken up more lines. My papers would have been longer. It would have been great. It would have made my life easier. Wouldn't have had to add fluff everywhere to make the paper longer.
Yeah, that is another nice thing about sources. You can add a couple extra lines to your page. You can
Yeah.
go from having half a page, like ending at half a page, add some more in-text citations, and fill up the rest of that page.
Yep. And when you when one of your paragraphs is like a page long before like any sources, and it's literally all just straight, just every single line is a new statistic because it's a bunch of math that I'm walking people through. That paragraph alone would have been like could have been like 2 pages long or something stupid.
I saw something the other day, and I wonder how many people have done this. I never tried this. I can't say it's ever crossed my mind to try this. But if you're given a word count limit, type a bunch of random gibberish at the end, and then just white it out.
I thought
Computer
about
will
it.
still count those words,
I've thought
even though
about
they're
it,
whited out.
but it also makes me nervous.
Because that's the thing. It's like for a paper that's written, it's 1,000 words, no less. It's like they're not going to be able to know. Like if you're pretty close, like let's say you're at like 950. No, I doubt it. They aren't going to know. They aren't going to know the difference of 50 words. But it's just one of those. Well, maybe. No, because it's one of those things where they know about how long the paper will be, and so if you're just kind of at the minimum of how long a 1,000-page paper should look, they aren't really going to care.
Yeah, but how much harder is it to just figure out where to fit in 50 more words?
Well, no, it's a time crunch thing. For example, I had a paper. I had a Spanish paper to write. It had to be 2,000 words. I was at 1,800, so I had to write another 200 words, and it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, that ain't going to happen. We're turning this in. So, I mean, technically I had another 2 hours to still write, but it was just like the paper felt complete. And so it's like, how do I add another 200 words, in Spanish let alone, to a paper that feels complete? And so I just turned it in.
Well, yeah,
And I got mad. And so it led me to believe that it's when they say minimum, because he did say minimum, it's more or less like does the paper look long? Like, does it look like it has a good chunk of information? Because I think that's what they're going for. They want to make sure that you have enough information, Because kids always ask, how long does paper need to be? How long does paper need to be, And so, like, maybe I'll give a page count, a word count, or whatever. And basically, it's just, does your paper have enough information to feel complete, that it flows nicely, and all your statements are well argued? And I think that's what he was looking for in the rubric. Because, see, when I got made for it, because, like I said, it felt complete. I presented, my topic and gave structure to it with well-supported examples, and it felt complete at 1,800 words. And so he agreed with me, what could you add in another 200 words to make it not sound like fluff? That's another big thing. Professors don't like fluff. They just want you to get to the point. you know. And so if you're gonna add another 200 words of crap, just to meet your word requirement, it's not worth it, in my
So
opinion.
this is kind of one of the points where I realized in that, I mean, in that class, I kind of already knew that I realized that I had a God given gift of being able to write papers. At least in college, anyways. In high school, apparently my papers were crap, but professors love my papers. I really don't understand what changed. But anyways, I realized, I'm really good at writing essays. And in this class, it became more apparent, especially when they handed out the grades, and this person was like, "Yeah, I got this." And I'm like, I always expected them to be a much better student than I was. And then when they said their grade, I'm like, and they're like, "What'd you get?" I'm like, "Oh, I got this." And they're like, "Yeah, I'm not a very good writer." And I'm like, how bad of a writer do you have to be? Because he straight up like tore mine apart because I didn't have any in-text citations. Like I lost a lot of points for that. And I also unintentionally but intentionally chose a topic that no one in no one knows a lot about.
It was that space junk paper,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Which means that if there's just missing chunks of stuff that everyone else needs to have in their papers, I'm exempt from the rule. Most papers, he'd be like, "Yeah, I deduct you like a bunch of points for this because it's just like you just didn't write about it." But he's like, "If you couldn't find it, you couldn't find it, so I deduct you 1 point instead of like 10." You know, I'm like, hallelujah, thank God. And then my other super long essay I wrote, they got on me because my grammar, which English wasn't even her first language, so I was like, shut up.
Yeah, sometimes when you write, I do feel like English is not your first language.
No, this professor.
No, I'm talking about you.
Well, yes, I know but this.
Your letter that you had me proofread.
Yes, yes, I know.
That wasn't as bad as I was thinking it would be, but there were some things where it's like, what the heck are you trying to say here?
Well, that was also really tough to write. But anyways, the no, but it was ridiculous. I'm like, your English isn't your first language. Why are you the only professor I've had this entire time at UNL that has ever once graded me on grammar? They've all had it in their rubrics, but I've only ever gotten like nearly flawless grades on it. So I'm like, why are you and ridiculing me now on this? And then she also did my in-text citations. She was like, yeah, otherwise, flawless paper. She was like, that was a great paper. I'm like, huh, fair enough. Same with the space junk. It was just my in-text citations, and then there was a part where I didn't explain enough, but like I kind of got away with it, but also I still lost points.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, he was like, it's fine. Perfectly fine research paper. And I was able to write it faster than most people, and I just wonder. I'm like, what?
What was your argument for that paper, or what were you trying to present?
So it was a policy analysis, but
Mm-hmm.
not an. There's like two types of policy analysis, and this is like an analysis of an analysis. Basically, you're supposed to write about policies. If there are policies, write about the issues with them. Write about the other research people have done about the policy, how it could be improved, what is being done so that it could be improved for a natural resource, and then Or if there's a place in natural resource policy that there are no policies, talk about why there are no policies, talk about possible policies that have created, how you would make policies that would govern this and solve this issue. You just didn't have to do an analytical analysis because an analytical analysis required to do actual like statistical analysis and data
Yep.
research, and that was beyond the scopes of this class. B, he just didn't. I don't know why he didn't have us do it. To be honest, it kind of sounded like we were gonna have to, but then he didn't. But I'm so glad he did because, truth be told, I think I was probably the only person in that class who could probably even try to do a statistical analysis, because no one else in that class had taken or was taking a class that would make them prepare to do something like that. Because I was in that econometrics class at the time.
Statistical analysis, not just what talking about error.
Huh?
Statistical analysis, talk about error.
Yeah, error and like, all the freaking variables, blah blah blah. R.
Hmm?
And I was the only person.
Did you say R?
Yeah, I don't remember what. I can't remember any of it. But anyways, I was the only person in that class that was probably even remotely capable, because when we talked about the kind of stuff, he would then say, "Yeah, Doc over here, in his class, that's what they're doing. They're doing this kind of statistical analysis of this stuff." I was the only person who had even the foggiest idea of what he was saying. And I still had no idea what he was saying for the most part. But everyone else was completely lost. At least me, I could pick out words and phrases that I knew from the class. No one else could have done it. So it's a good thing, because everyone else would have been just lost. At least I probably would have been able to go to my econometrics professor and be like, "Can you help me with this?" But I used it to write. I did another project because I needed this. It was about cotton seeds, and I needed this statistic about cotton seeds, in like the number of seeds in gin cotton and blah 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 blah, the mass of it. I don't remember why I needed the calculations. I think it was to calculate loss or something. I don't remember. Point is, I think I needed to know how much raw cotton weighs and then how much of that is seed. So I could extrapolate how many acres of cotton we could get, how many acres of cotton we would need to grow to get this amount of seed to be able to sell. Anyways, I read a research paper, like, I skimmed most of it, but I did have to read parts of it in depth, and parts of it were straight up the kind of crap I had been doing in my econometrics class. And I'm like, wow.
Actually,
huh?
I do have a question for you. I mean, it's kind of more towards the topic we're just on, but what is your opinion on Starlink and its effect on space junk? Like, it's clouding up the atmosphere with just more satellites. I mean, they're not really useless. I mean, they do have a purpose, a pretty substantial one. But in terms of, the night sky and just, cluttering up the atmosphere with more dangerous debris, what is your opinion on that?
So, when it comes to astronomy, it does bother me. It makes, astronomical observations much more difficult. And it also, but like at the same time, as we grow technologically, as should our astronomy. I think we should. Yes, it's very expensive to build space-based telescopes, but as we become more spacefaring, and we conquer Earth and master the elements, it's only natural that, like, we're going to have to build these mega telescopes in orbit. Yes, it's expensive now to build telescopes in orbit of, like, any size. But also think about it, though, now, like, here on the ground, you're limited by a lot of things when building.
I guess the thing I'm curious about, I don't think it's an issue yet, nor do I see it be an issue because of low Earth orbit being so close to the Earth, around prime viewing time, around midnight. Well, see, that's the thing. Midnight is kind of awfully late. And so, it's like the best time, to get people interested in, this sort of topic would be, about 8 o'clock, when it starts getting dark out and, some of the planets and stars start coming out. It's like, how do you help people who want to have an interest in astronomy? The best way, is to have them have that physical interaction with an actual telescope. But if your sky is being blocked or disrupted by all these satellites, it kind of, I don't know, turns them away, from
I mean, I
wanting
feel
to
like
look at what they want to see. I don't
for
know.
amateur astronomy, you need a lot of satellites. Like, an amount that would be impractical and impossible without causing Kessler syndrome.
I don't think
if anything,
you can see Starlink with the naked eye, but usually it's around 8 o'clock, when the sun is still visible, so it can reflect off those satellites. Right?
Right.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, I'd prefer if there was just none of that stuff out there. That way people knew, that what they were looking at is actually just real physical phenomena outside our solar system. Or inside our solar system, if it's a planet or whatnot, what have you, but I would prefer if the stuff in the sky that they're looking at, from a teaching perspective, was all natural.
The thing is, you really don't notice. Like, and also, honestly, it almost helps. Yes, it taints the night sky, and yes, from a teaching perspective, blah, 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 yes. But I was out at the observatory, and this kid was looking up at the night sky, and he's like, "Whoa, what's that?" And the guy's like, "It's a satellite." And the kid's like, "Whoa, that's so cool." And he's like, "How do you know it's a satellite?" And he's like, "Well, planes blink." And he's like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
And you just watch, and the kid's just tracking it across the sky, watching it. And I'm like, as a kid, that would have been the coolest thing to be told, that's a satellite. You'd be like, whoa. Now it's like, oh, satellite. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not doing any actual science. And so those satellites don't bother me. The only time they bother me is when I'm doing wide field astrophotography. But, truth be told, I shouldn't really be doing wide field astrophotography early in the night anyways. I should be doing it late at night.
Yeah.
So, yes, it bothers me in that regards because now I have to throw out a lot of photos that just have a white streak going across them because there's a satellite in it. So, but it's like, it's such a, it's the same thing with light pollution. It's such a niche thing. It bothers, light pollution, though, has a bigger impact than satellites.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But at the same time, it's like, it's such a niche thing. Like, the greater society, it's not It's not an issue. And
Oh,
unless
true.
we're doing unless you're doing science, it's not that big of a deal. But as I'm thinking in the future, the extremely large telescope we're building, yes, it's more difficult to build it in orbit now. But in the future, when we're mining asteroids and bringing that stuff back, building that kind of telescope in orbit would make more sense because we can build it bigger. Because we're not having to worry about gravity pulling it apart. And it being crushed. We don't have to build this mount that needs to basically float some telescopes float on freaking Mercury. I don't know how they get those. I don't know how it works. I don't know how they get it to the spin. I think it floats. I'm not sure, but and there's no atmospheric disturbance, so you don't have to build like these super intricate systems to counteract that. So there's a whole system that'll make it cheaper to build.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to worry about dust. You have to worry about space dust, but like there's a lot less space dust than there is dust on Earth destroying it.
Uh-huh.
And also in space, if we put it at L2 or we put it somewhere else, it can observe for a lot longer periods of time than one on Earth. So that's where I stand. I'm like, it's an issue
can it
now.
Longer?
Huh?
I mean, the ones on Earth can have constant maintenance to them.
But like I said, if we're building stuff in space, maintaining a telescope is not that hard. If we're building mega structures, if we're building massive telescopes in space, I think we can maintain a telescope. Also,
you said they last longer in space?
Huh?
You said they last longer in space?
Absolutely. Especially...
Why?
What do you mean, why?
I'm asking why, because it doesn't make sense.
On Earth, you've got dust that will scratch up the mirrors. You'll have to... There's also all kinds of other issues that are going to...
There's interstellar dust.
Right, but there's a lot less interstellar dust than there is normal dust on Earth. There's a lot less of it. Yes, it exists, but it's not that big. It's not as big of an issue as, say, dust on Earth.
Yeah, but I mean, if you only have it out for a couple hours at night and then you cover it, what's the issue?
We don't have.
And
That's the other thing about building in space. We don't have to have it covered up for half the day. It can be open all the time, constantly observing.
Yeah, which means that it's more likely for dust to come and scratch it up. You can't have it open 24/7 on Earth, so it's not. Plus, you're not pointing it at the ground.
What? That's not the. Are you really assuming that having a telescope open for let's say it's at the equator, so it's open 50% of the time? You telling me a telescope that's open 100% of the time versus one open 50% of the time? You telling me that the one that opened 50% of the time in an atmosphere constantly filled with dust, because you probably have to build it on top of a mountain in a desert.
Because it's not repair. You already said that the James Webb has noticeable damage on it. They can't go fix that very easily.
Right, right, but this is in the future. You have to remember.
If that happened on Earth, they can go fix that.
But I'm talking in the future. In the future, it doesn't friggin' matter. In the future, heck, humans probably won't even build it. It'll be robots. We'll just be managing it from a space station.
But that's in the future. I'm talking about
We're not going to build a giant telescope in space right now. We can't. We don't have the money. It's not feasible. It doesn't make sense.
That's not the question. You made it phrase like space telescopes right now last longer than any telescope on Earth. Right now.
Well, they don't, because we don't have the technology.
That's what I was arguing, because you made it sound like they do.
But they can.
How?
Well, for one thing, Hubble has lasted way longer than we ever thought it would.
Okay, but has it lasted longer than any ground-based telescope?
Well, no, but
That's my point.
But it's also done more science than any of the ground-based telescope.
But that's my point, though.
But Hubble, we can
Longevity.
But Hubble, if we continue to work on it and continue to push it up into space, it will last long. It will last just as long or longer than anything down on Earth. The only reason why you hear about it is because it's in space.
But my point is that it's easier to maintain something on Earth, ground-based.
Right. Currently. But in the future, there's no reason.
Yes. No, I get that. In the future, you can have robots. Yes, I get that. But the whole idea is maintenance. It's easier to maintain something currently on the ground.
Right, but I was never talking about currently. Currently, yeah, everything makes sense to do it on the ground. There's no point in
that's what you made it sound like. You made it sound like space telescopes today last longer than ground-based ones. Which I was skeptical.
They haven't because no one's... The only reason why they haven't is because of limitations of technology.
Yeah.
Any ground-based telescope... Every telescope, theoretically, after a certain period of time, is not as... It needs to... The mirrors need to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder... And that's something I'm actually curious about. Whether because I know there's a so when you buy old telescopes, there's a film they put on the mirror that helps reflect the light better, and when they get older, that film wears off, it disappears. And I wonder if that's because it's in an atmosphere and it's being oxidized. So in space, do you not have to worry about that anymore? I mean, James Webb is freaking gold, so it doesn't matter. There is no coating. It's just gold. So any telescope we're going to build in orbit in the future is going to be gravitational, radio, ultraviolet through gamma, and infrared. We're not building any more visible telescopes in space. I think they're just going to keep limping along Hubble.
Now, once we have commercialized space, I think they will.
Yeah, but that we're talking a half a century from now.
Like a moon base or something?
No, you wouldn't build a telescope on the moon.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why not? In a crater or something.
For 15 days out of the... Maybe in a crater, maybe. I don't know how that works, though.
Yeah, you can't have a moon base and not have a telescope, let's be honest.
Yes, you can. It doesn't make sense
to put it on the moon.
For 15...
You got to. You're literally on the moon. There's no atmosphere. Perfect opportunity.
No.
You gotta look at the night sky for 15 days.
Yeah, but then for 15 days it can't do anything.
Yeah.
When I could just put it in L2 and it would be able to do it constantly.
No, you have two. I mean, how long did it take to drive around the moon, okay?
Don't put it in orbit around the moon.
You drive to the other side of the moon.
Don't put it in orbit around the moon. No, you couldn't just put it on the other side of the moon. You'd have to have, like, 8 of them.
Yeah.
But the moon is also not... The moon is also not a hospitable place to a telescope. Yes, there's no atmosphere to kick up the dust, but if the dust does get kicked up, it's going to destroy anything. Because again, lunar dust is awful.
Yeah, you told me this.
Yeah, it's... Ugh. That gets on your mirror, your telescope's done. It's over. The dust has the high ground. Your mirror is done. You just throw it back to Earth and let it burn up in the atmosphere. It's useless. I mean, once you take it back to Earth and grind it, it'll be fine. But then you gotta ship the thing back up there. The point is, building a telescope on the moon it's a cool idea.
Yeah, but you're saying it'll never be done?
I don't think it ever should be done. Personally. Not to say that it never will. I just don't think it's useful.
Well, it's not going to be for scientific observation.
Yeah, but you're not going to build a but no hobbyist is going to build a mega telescope on the moon.
Not a mega telescope, just, for amateur space tourists.
So you just brought a telescope with you from Earth?
Essentially, yeah.
But that's not
That's a telescope on the moon. That's a telescope on the moon.
But that's not what I was kind of going for. I'm going for a science.
That's not what I was picturing. I was just picturing, a telescope on the moon.
And again, actually, you said it's dark for 15 days. If we're doing an amateur telescope, that means for those you only get to use it for half that time. Because you're going to be asleep for the other half.
You sleep 12 hours a day.
Okay, 8. But you get my point.
Yeah, but when was the last time you went stargazing for 16 hours?
If the whole point of doing it on the moon is to do it.
You'd get tired after a few hours. You want to go do something else. You're on the freaking moon. You don't want to play moon basketball.
But that's what I'm saying. Why would an amateur putting a telescope to the moon? It was all meant to be science. It wasn't meant to be an amateur because the amateur just throws everything off. Because amateur just doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't know. Think about looking at Saturn or something. Without having to have all that atmosphere. I'm just curious. How big of a difference it would have on a normal telescope.
What? Yeah, but you don't have to go to the moon to do that. You go to the International Space Station to do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I can afford to go to the International Space Station.
It's cheaper than the moon.
Yeah, but I can't afford to go to either.
Well, then it's literally, if you want to do it, you win the lottery, the $1 billion lottery. You contact Elon Musk to let you do an EVA. Because they're doing an EVA with a Dragon capsule here soon. You go and hey, let's do an EVA. You bring out your telescope. You bolt it to the side of the Dragon capsule somewhere. They let you do that. And then you look through it.
I still want to do it from the moon.
Why?
Just to say I did it from the moon.
Okay, but now you've completely changed the parameters of what it originally was supposed to be.
It was never meant to be for experiment. It was never meant to be an experimental apparatus.
That's what I thought. I didn't think we're talking about, a pocket telescope.
No. It was never meant to be an experimental apparatus. I told you that.
Okay, well, that was later on, but when you first said, do you think there'll ever be a telescope on the moon? I'm like, there's no reason for there to be one.
A telescope. Any sort of telescope counts.
I was thinking, again, I wasn't thinking amateur. I didn't ever, that's a century away.
Yeah.
But again,
I still think it'll happen.
But again, science-wise, there's no point to put a telescope on the moon. It's way more expensive and impractical compared to just putting it in orbit and calling it good. So, the only thing is, infrared telescopes in orbit around the Earth are a bit of an issue. There's too much space debris. So you'd have to put it at L2, which means you have to build a space station out there, which, that's a long ways to go. It's 1 million miles. It's 20 light seconds, right?
Yeah, just wait till L2 becomes cluttered with space junk.
What?
So yeah, just wait till L2 becomes cluttered with space junk.
Well, no. L2 is an unstable orbit, so the space junk would just be gone.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm just saying, just wait to the day when we have too much stuff there.
Again, I feel like by the time we're doing that, we would learn our lesson.
I don't know. History has this tendency to repeat itself.
If you let it.
I don't know. Humanity it can be stubborn sometimes.
We're talking century ahead from now. A century from now. Centuries, possibly, even. I would assume we've learned our lesson.
No, I doubt it. I don't have faith in humanity.
Anyways, I don't know how we ever even got. I don't even know what we were talking about before the damn space
Oh
telescope.
yeah, you were gonna tell me why your counselor doesn't want you to be a banker.
Oh, he just said I wouldn't like it.
Why? He said this was like three layers to unravel. Why he said you wouldn't like it?
Oh
Why you
no,
wouldn't
it's
like
not
it?
three layers to unravel. It was just another story. There was like two other stories I wanted to tell, and
No.
then if we got to why I'm not enjoying banking, it's just like I,
Well, why did
honest to
he say you
God,
would?
don't know what I want to do anymore. Because I'm not.
Why did your counselor say you would not like it?
He just says it's not in your wheelhouse. He's like,
He didn't see you doing it.
huh?
You just didn't come across as the person that would enjoy that sort of task job.
Pretty much. He looked at what I enjoyed doing, and he's like, I doubt you're going to enjoy that.
Mm.
But again,
And
I was deprived of ever figuring it out.
yeah,
Had I been able to figure this out back in 2020 when I wanted to figure it out, I would have been like, oh, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore, and I could have pivoted.
wait, did you try to get a job in 2020 as a banker?
Define try.
Sent out at least one application.
No, I was 1 week away, and then the economy collapsed.
You waited wait, so that literally like the week before or the week after something you were thinking about sending out an application?
Yep. Spring break.
Hmm.
I had the time. I had extra time because I didn't have any assignments. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna send out I'm gonna send out my resume. I'm gonna send out applications, and then
Mm-hmm.
the world shut down.
Oh.
And my dad was like, stay put, so you make sure you have a job.
Yeah.
And so here I am.
Well, you have a job.
That I don't like.
Oh.
It's not that I.
What's the worst part about it?
So I always hear these people. I listen to this person. They're like, what'd they say? They said like if there's any part you don't like, eventually you will not like the job.
Hmm.
It will just fester and grow and get worse and worse and worse until you're miserable.
Hmm.
I'm not miserable. It's not that I show up and it's like
And the five, here we go.
it wasn't like I don't know. It's such a weird thing because it's like I do, but I don't. I want to do because it's like I want to be busy, but at the same time, I'd rather not be busy doing certain things.
Hmm.
And it's such a I don't know. I don't know what the issue is. And I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know. I'm kind of just. Because it's like, I think like, oh, maybe I could teach. Go to high school, teach economics, or in a long stretch, teach science.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I could do lesson plans.
Yeah, yeah.
That I could get up there and I could lecture, I could give assignments, I could write tests. But I don't know if I could do experiment. I just don't know if I could do the lesson plan parts. Because I'm a unorganized organized person, or an organized unorganized person. One of the two. Anyways, in which that I'm not a like all the people I know who become teachers, they were the kinds of people that had like these elaborate like I do not have the personality traits of a teacher, right? Because you know you can when you think about the people that you knew who became teachers, it's different for you because you didn't know as many people in high school as I did, well enough to probably be able to pick out, that kind of stuff.
Wait, say this again?
Like in high school, I knew a lot of people that were going to become teachers.
Yeah.
But like when you were in high school, even though you went to a bigger school, you probably had your own clique that you hung with, and so and none of them probably wanted to be teachers, and so you didn't.
Hey, like half the girls wanted to be teachers.
Huh?
Either that or pre-med.
Who? What?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hear what you said. You muffled out.
Oh, I said like half the girls wanted to be teachers. Either that or pre-med.
That is, it's uncanny the way I don't.
But it's like if a girl ever says she's majoring in a subject, it's one of three categories: either like education, pre-med, like nursing or something, or psychology. One of those three.
Psychology is definitely a lot less common, but yeah. That comes down to psychology and human and social engineering.
And I will tell you, the ones that tell you something different, those are the ones that are actually interesting to talk to, and they're not like just basic as hell. Where they drink Starbucks and just fit the basic definition of white girl.
Well, yeah, and so what I realized, so like, I am not like any of the people that I know that wanted to become teachers, and I'm not like any of the teachers. I have certain attributes that may be great as a teacher, but I don't have one of them is the organizational itch.
Yeah.
I mean, look behind me. This is... I know where everything is, but it's a disaster.
You look like a grown child.
Like I've had these letters sitting on the top of my printer. These are return mail for the states letter experiment, which I still need. I desperately need you to read and edit the letter to senators because that needs to get sent before January before they all get switched out and I have to redo them.
Did I not review them?
You never sent it back. You never reviewed it.
Oh.
Please review it.
I could have swore I did.
I never got an email about the letter to the congressmen or women.
I'll have to relook in my drive. Not sure. Anyways.
I just, they had this day planner, things were color coded, and this and that. That's not...
Oh, yeah. I didn't do that. The best... So, what I did, before I realized how nice Canvas is with the calendar, Because it was about like a year or so before I realized Canvas. Maybe they didn't even have it. I don't remember. So long ago. But the nice little calendar thing and how you could color code all the subjects on Canvas with the color that the so like usually like I just remember like physics was blue or something because you could turn the class color blue or whatever and then it make everything on the canvas blue and then red and it catches your eye. That way you look at it, it's like, oh, I know what class this list of assignments is to do. Because see, I made something similar to that on Excel. It was not like a calendar, but it was like a list. And I listed all the priority assignments for the week. And I just went down the list every week and just went down the list. And then at Friday night or Sunday night or whatever, I update the list with the next week. And I went down the list by priority. But then I realized Canvas does that so elegantly by having the due date of when the assignments were due. So then I could just look at this and be like, oh, sweet. There's nothing to do. There's no due date tomorrow, meaning today's not the due date. I was the person. See, so there's D-O, do, and then there's do as in D-U-E. If tomorrow's not the due date, then today is not the due date. That was my philosophy through UNL. I'm not very proud of it, but that was a lot of that is how I devoted my time.
Right, but
My
like
priorities were adjusted accordingly.
But at least you organized some way. I didn't do that. I didn't do any of that. You know how many assignments I really missed? Like, I could probably count them all on one hand.
I mean, I guess if they're just all on Canvas, and you just go down the list, I mean, there's no big deal. I don't know.
But again, that's just not. But see, but like teachers, I think that's something that they need. That they all inherently need to be able to do is they need to, be able to have that organized, that schedule, that plan. I couldn't do that. That would drive me insane. Like I tried with YouTube. I tried to, have the little Word doc or whatever, but I don't stick to it.
But yeah, you gave up on that.
Well,
I wouldn't say give up. You've gone off the rails on when stuff is to be completed and sent out.
Yeah, and like I plan it out as in like so I know what content needs to go up and when. Mm-hmm. But as to when it needs to get done, I just do it whenever.
Yeah.
And sometimes if I'm like I don't feel like working on this, I come up with something else and do it instead. I can't do that as a teacher.
I'm not gonna learn square root today. Let's learn the Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah. So today we're supposed to learn about. Electron orbitals. But you know what? I'm not really feeling like electron orbitals. So instead, we're gonna learn about light. Just light. Like two completely different units. Like what?
Yeah.
Like
what?
Because this is like 9th grade science, right? So like you'd have a unit on light, you have a unit on chemistry.
And other teachers are like, "What? You're already teaching light? I was going to teach that till next month."
Oh no, I just gave up on the atom. I'll pick it up.
I just gave up on that lesson. I just don't feel like teaching that. That lesson is a real bore.
Yeah, and also like I feel like teachers just they inherently are more studious than I would be. Like they're more studious than I am. And so that would come off on students a lot better, like a teacher who actually tried in school would probably be better than someone like me who never had to try, didn't try, and didn't care and still managed to get a degree.
You know what they say? Can't spell degree without a D.
And
Actually, it seems good degrees, but I guess if you're in the ag program, I guess minimally exceptional is a D.
what's crazy is, though, I got only like 2 Ds.
Yeah.
And maybe like 1 or 2 C minuses. Otherwise, the rest were C pluses and up to A's.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did all of that without studying.
Mm.
There are people who will spend days studying to get the grades.
Oh, that's what I was gonna tell you. So, remember how the last time we had my brother on, how we were telling him to do a degree on it soon as he's going to graduate? Remember that?
Yeah,
I don't remember when this was.
this was
I
like
think it was
June.
last semester or maybe the summer. Yeah, this summer or something. Yeah, so his advisor and him finally did a degree on it. And you know what they found? He probably would not be able to graduate this spring.
Jesus Christ.
I was like, what? He was like, yeah, so I did a finally had a degree like he told me to. And I don't think I'm taking enough classes to be able to graduate. I'm like, what? What? This is something I told you to do like a year ago. Over a year ago. However, I will say I am unsure on that because he only needs like 3 more credit hours to pass to be done. And the way I read his degree on it, it seems like all he needs is 3 credit hours next spring and he's done. But he said his advisor made it sound like he needs 13 or something. Or he needs 19. And he's taking 13 right now. I did not understand what his advisor was saying.
His advisor's also a piece of junk, if we're not.
Yeah.
Of all the people that got.
I think the problem is he's. I don't think he's asking his advisor the right questions.
Mm.
Because I never really had a problem with my. Other than that one issue.
The
always
first
just
advisor.
a miscommunication. It's always a miscommunication. And if you're not asking the right questions, that's how problems arise. And I don't think he was asking the right questions in terms of what classes do I have to take to be done? How many classes do I have to take to be done? And I don't know how he was phrasing it, but the answer he got made it sound like he needs another semester. However, when he ran the degree audit, because when I went home on Sunday, he showed me the audit, and it made it seem like he only needs like 1 more class. So I'm not sure. And that 1 class could be completed, next spring. So I'm not sure.
Or maybe see if you could do it in December.
Well, that would be the plan. Was then graduate in the fall.
But no.
What?
But no, I'm saying like instead of taking an entire semester to do to get 3 credits, see if they offer said course this winter.
Are they doing that again?
They always offer courses in December.
Like, you're talking about the month of December between. That was just because of COVID.
I thought they've always offered it. Like some of it's a study abroad stuff.
Yeah.
But some of it I thought they also offered full classes. Maybe it's only 1 credit.
December.
Maybe it's only 1 credit.
You're talking about like just the month of December?
No, like from when the previous semester ends to the next semester is when you do the class.
3 weeks?
I don't know. Maybe they don't do it anymore. I don't remember. I just remember you could do Theoretically.
That is something that they're doing in 2021 because of COVID. Remember how all the classes ended at Thanksgiving break?
Okay,
So
maybe then I'm only thinking of the study abroad, because the study abroad was 3 credits.
Oh,
And it was 1 week in New Zealand.
No.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. And maybe there's just a lot of study abroads that you can do in December.
Oh, I don't know.
But again, it's 3 credits. He could graduate in May and be done.
That's what the audit made it sound like. But he's made it sound like he needs an additional semester beyond that.
19 credits is doable. I did 18.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Also, let's think about my 18, though. So my 18, 3 of those 18 credits were micro courses that all happened at the same time, which meant that I did quite literally 3 credit courses. I did a 3 credit course class in like a matter of a month. Did the work equivalent to that and all the time sitting in class, because some of those 1 credit courses were very intensive, in a matter of a few weeks. So, if he doesn't have to do that, I think it's very manageable.
He also has a habit of, shall we say, procrastinating.
I literally am the king of procrastination.
I don't know. I just don't see him being one to enjoy that.
Well, then that's his issue. It's kind of up to him whether he wants to graduate in May or December or whatever. So.
But honestly, he was making it sound like even if he does have to take another semester, he'd just take a bunch of fun classes. It's props to him. There were a lot of classes.
That costs more money.
Of classes. No, I didn't care though. There were a lot of classes that I wanted to take. Just because I just wanted to take that class.
I wanted to be done.
I wanted to be done too, but there's a part of me that's like, there are a lot of classes out here that, I'd like to take that I'll never get to take. There are a lot of astronomy classes that offered that I never got to take one.
I wanted to take them, but I couldn't. They required more math, and I was like, not about to do that.
I just could not fit it in my schedule. I actually tried to fit it in my schedule once, and then I just could not make it work.
I wanted to get a minor in astronomy, but again, it was the math. And I was like, I'm not taking more math because I barely passed the neutered calculus I did in high school. I will not pass the next step up at UNL.
You just have to take Calc 1, or was it 1, 2, and 3?
It was just whatever. I think it was Calc 2. I didn't need to go all the way up to 3. It was just Calc 2. I'm like, I barely did Calc 1, so there's no way. When pigs fly. So.
What?
It was going to kind of be when pigs fly, and I was like, nope, not doing that. I almost thought about changing my whole major to applied science, but there's no... I've been the only white person in the entire school with that degree, and also the only American...
No, what's that supposed to mean? Why?
Applied science is pretty much what all the Rwandan students take.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Because it kind of just lets them... It's very loose in requirements, so you can kind of take whatever you want for classes. There isn't really a requirement. It's just as long as you complete this many credits, as long as you have the prereqs to take the classes that you want to take, you can kind of take whatever you want.
you just take a variety of, like, say, physics, biology, chemistry, or whatever until you complete the credit hours necessary, or what?
Yeah, pretty much is what you could do that if you wanted to.
Hmm.
Not that anyone would ever want to take the three big sciences all at once, but you're more than welcome to.
Yep.
Especially when the university is a apparently world-renowned chemistry program. Nobody wants to take chemistry along with anything else.
Is it really?
Apparently, that's their justification for why there are chemistry programs so damn difficult.
Uh,
Because everybody
part of the
complains about
reason,
how difficult chemistry at the UNL is. I mean,
well, people complain about professors because when I took 109, apparently the professor, I think it was like 114 or something like that. It's one of the courses that you have to take for the major or something like that. That course is taught by a tenured professor that doesn't really give a damn about any of his students, and his class is literally taught about his research.
great.
You don't learn any of the chemistry out of the book. His lectures are all about his research, but then he hands you a test from the book.
Haha! Nice.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's the rumor. I don't know if that's true, but you can read about him on Rate My Professor. His rating is not very good. I forget what his name is. It's been years ago since I heard about him, but yeah, his Rate My Professor is not very good.
Anyways, but yeah, because I could have switched to applied science and like straight up still taking all the classes I wanted to take.
That
Like,
in organic chemistry. I've heard organic chemistry is difficult.
well, organic chemistry is difficult everywhere.
Oh,
And it's a difficult class.
yeah,
I've seen memes about organic chemistry.
yeah.
So it's difficult for everyone. Unless you're like a genius or whatever. So that is not exclusively to the university. But it's very well possible that the UNL has a more difficult one than the other schools. I don't know. I've
Well,
just heard that's the justification for why our regular chemistry is difficult.
mhm.
So, I don't know. But, no, so I would have been probably the only American and a white person in that entire thing, because I'm pretty sure only people that took it were Rwandans, because, again, they would go back to Rwanda, and, they've got a degree from an American school. That's a big deal. A lot of them are starting businesses, so it didn't really matter. Someone like me, it's completely useless. It's like I have a degree, but, like, in what?
Hmm.
They'd be like, applied science? What did you do? Like, whatever
I
I wanted.
applied science.
Whatever I want to do, And they're just like, no.
I did me.
I grew some plants.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't think we're going to take you. But, no, I'm kind of lost,
Mm.
which is why I was really hoping I'd win the lottery, because then I just would never have to worry another day in my life, and
It's
everything.
kind of weird, it's like you go to school and typically people are lost while they're in school and, when they just graduate, because they're trying to figure things out and find a job, but you have graduated. You have gone through that moment of contemplating decisions, and you're still in that phase after you have found a job.
Yep. But see, that's the thing, right? I had such a different, like,
I think you should not have rushed to go through school. Because you could have rushed. You wanted to be done in 3 years, but, maybe if you took your time and went that extra fourth year, would have gave you more time to think about all the different paths you could take.
I don't think so. I don't think
Because
more
the thing
time in
is,
school would have helped.
The thing is, I just feel like once you find that first job, you kind of lock yourself in unless it's a part-time gig. Because if it's a part-time gig, it's you can leave whenever. It's not full-time. There's nothing holding you back. But if it's a full-time gig, the longer you go, the more you're gonna feel like you're locking yourself into this. And I don't know.
I don't think more school would have helped. Longer school wouldn't have helped. If anything, that would have exacerbated the problem, and I would be running into this 2 years from now.
Oh.
Instead of running into it now.
I guess I would have just felt like, another year, you'd still be at, I guess, Menards part-time. You could have maybe found a job at the bank, worked at the bank part-time. Because
No. So that wasn't. So see, that's where your assumption's wrong. Because my plan was to never leave. Because COVID happened, I never planned to leave until I was done.
You never wanted to get another job.
No. I didn't. When COVID happened, it kind of completely wrecked what my plan was. But then, as school went on and the way things were going, doing anything but Menards was very difficult. Because, like, bank hours, bank hours, I couldn't do bank hours. I couldn't make any money. I'd work 2 hours a day some days. I'd work literally 2 hours a day. I'd work like 4 hours a week. And then the only time I could get any hours would be on a Saturday. I'd have to work every single Saturday. Or if it's an in-store, every single weekend to actually make any money.
Oh, no, you do that at Menards.
No, that was impossible then.
It was?
Yes, because when I say 2 hours, that's because that's when the bank closes. Menards closed at 10, and so I was able to get 4 hours.
Well, no, so you make up the majority of your hours at Menards, but you work a couple, I don't know, minutes if you could call it at the bank.
It wouldn't work because I would burn more time in transit and changing into Menards garb and just burn an hour that I could just be working at Menards.
I'm not working at Menards the same day.
What?
I'm not saying work at the Menards the same day. I'm saying
see, that's where you misunderstand my schedule.
I'm saying you said you work Fridays, right? So you can work all day Friday. You can work a 9 to 5 Friday.
So that's not. That was the issue. Here's the issue, right? You misunderstand my schedule because of the way my schedule's always worked out. I was only able to ever work either a Monday or Wednesday. I was always able to work Friday. So I always worked 2 to 10 on Fridays or whatever. Okay, for the most part, up until senior year, then I actually had to go to class on a Friday. But the rest of my schedule, because of the way it worked, I would work 4 or 5 hours at Menards. And they're like, can you get here any earlier? And I can't. I physically could not. And then the other days, I didn't get off class until 5. Because I didn't work. I couldn't show up at 6. 6 to 10 just wasn't... They didn't do shifts like that. That wasn't a thing. And then when they switched to only 9, that's 6 to 9. That wasn't useful. Wasn't useful to me, wasn't useful to them. Plus, then I had no time to do homework. So, another job was impossible. It didn't work. The only way I could make it work is if I worked in the mornings. But I didn't want to work in the mornings because I did all my work at night. And then I slept in. All of my roommates, they'd get up early to go to work or do things or what have you. I was still asleep because I was up till 1 a.m. They all went to bed at 10. I was up working. Or relaxing. Which is why the bank never would have worked. I would have worked 2 hours a day. If that.
Yeah, but you would have realized, sooner or later, maybe it's just for me. I don't know. I just throwing something out there. I get that you want to throw the idea out the window because I suggested it, but I was just, maybe it would have gave you the opportunity
Trust me,
to.
I wanted to. I wanted to work. But then I realized that it was a fever dream and it was never going to work. I'd have to completely rework my schedules for school.
But then if the dream became a reality,
Well, no,
it
because now
feels
I
more
don't
like a
have anything
nightmare.
else to do. No, it's full time. It's completely different. It is what it is. I don't have to worry about school.
Yeah.
It's just, and then
If you
sometimes
went back
school
to
is just
school to
inconsistent.
change, would you change your degree if you went back to school? Or are you content with the degree you chose?
I wanted if I'm gonna go back to school, I want define go back to school.
Go back as in redo your college experience.
I
Would
would
you pick a different major?
I would probably end up teaching,
You'd end up teaching.
but
Yeah,
even
so like
then, I
essentially
just
you knowing what you know now, would you still go into ag economics?
probably I don't know. That's the thing because I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I can actually teach. I don't know. I can't know. I will never really be able to know. And I don't want to do my masters.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if a masters, if the entire thing was just doing the thesis and just doing the research, sign me up. I am fine with that. Perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. That's awesome. I don't want to go sit through classes that are just they're pointless. Like some people, they get their masters to get a raise because they're a teacher, and so getting their masters gets them a raise, and so they actually do learn something from these master courses, and they actually use that stuff. Me,
Mm-hmm.
I would be just doing research the rest of my life. Those classes are completely useless to me. Other than if they're like how to write a thesis. Otherwise, they're useless. Once you write a thesis once, you can write them however many times you want.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do if I went back. I would have to have a lot more ambition to do anything. Because, like, teaching, I'd have to get organized. But I could easily do it. Math is non-existent. I could be a science teacher, probably no issues. Or an econ teacher, more preferably. Maybe. But to do anything else, I'd have to have the ambition to work through the math. Because more than likely, I would maybe try and be a material scientist. It combines physics and chemistry all in one. That's the kind of stuff I'm interested in.
I see.
When it comes to chemistry, it's just I can't do the math. It's also why I can't do astronomy. I can't do the math.
Yeah.
It's like I'm smart enough to do the math. But I don't have the drive to do it. I don't have the drive to do a lot of things. And that's kind of my issue. I don't know what happened, why I don't have a drive. I'm kind of running out of a drive to do much of anything at this point. Like today, when I finished the script, I was like, okay, I want to start working on the next script. But all I wanted to do was either watch YouTube videos or write another script that was completely useless. That was completely useless, unnecessary. Because I need to write I need to write the parts for the isolation video because that has not gone up. footage that I've had sitting forever. And at this rate, it might not go up till next year. Because I think the next video is going to be the cheese video, and then after that, well, it's got to either be the Phases of Matter or I guess the isolation video. I think that's what's next. And then January or February, if things get really delayed, will be the short film, possibly full-length movie. Well, full-length for a comedy. But it's not technically comedy, it's a drama. So it's not a full-length drama, but it could theoretically be a full-length comedy if it adds up to 90 minutes. I doubt it will, but it theoretically could. Hello? Phil?
Yeah.
Oh. So I don't know what I want to do. I'm stuck.
Mm.
And
Yeah, I hear you.
And I just don't know. Funny, just I don't know. Well, anyways, we're over time greatly, but I would like to thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. New podcasts. Okay, hold on. Before we end this, do you want to do weekly? Because if we do, because like we probably could talk for 2 hours every week, no issues.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I guess you could just break it up. Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm asking, do you want to do 2 podcasts a week? I mean, sorry, a podcast a week.
Oh. I guess we could.
Because last time I feel like there was less, like, when we first tried it, I honestly felt like there wasn't, because of just, I don't know, because of the way things were, I forever, and we were so new at it, we ran out of things to talk about, but anymore, I feel like we talk for hours. Anytime we get on the phone, anytime we do the podcast, and so I don't think
to be fair, any phone call lasts hours.
Exactly, and so we could easily do a podcast every week.
Oh yeah. What was that? I remember one time when we were young, we used to see how long of a phone call we could go. I think our record was like 10 hours.
Did it ever get that long? I thought we had like 6 was the most.
Well, I think it was one of those things where I left the phone on and you had to go, but then you called back, and so the phone was still counting.
Oh my god.
I don't recall. But I do remember there was one that it went on for a good minute.
Ain't that the truth? But anyways, fine. 1 a week. We'll try. Anyways, I would like to thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. New podcasts every Friday, 11 a.m. such a time. And good night.